All right, good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, May 18th, 2023. It is now 7:01 p.m. I'm going to call this public hearing regular meeting of Deep River Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Start with a roll call. Jonathan Kastner.
Here.
Right. Alan Parody.
Here.
Stan Reinheimer.
Here.
And Marion Stay.
Here.
Fred Jordan.
Here.
Alex Strobel. I'm not sure if he wasn't sure he was going to make it or not. All right. Mike Danello.
Here, Tony.
Hey, Mike. Brian Phillips. And Daniel Smith.
Here.
All right. So since Alex is not here, Mike, I'm going to seat you in his place. All right. On to item 3. Oh, excuse me, item 2. Audience of citizens. Citizens may address the commission for items that are not on the agenda. Anybody out there? Anything they want to talk about? All right. Item 3. Public hearing. Item A is a special exception, SE 23-03, 112 River Road is a new 4,000 square foot single family residence in the Gateway Conservation District. The applicant is Tom Lontine, and this is continued from April 2023.
Volume off.
I know.
Volume off.
Oh, volume, yeah. You want to hear it too?
No.
There we go. Sorry. Is there an applicant here for this application?
Tom Lontine's here for 112.
How's it going? Just want to give us a little spiel.
Sure, yeah. So we met with the Gateway Commission, I believe it was 2 months ago, and it went well. And they issued their letter that everyone should have a copy of in the documents. And they had 3 conditions, and that's within their findings letter. And my clients are they're okay with those findings, with those conditions.
Okay. So I was going to open it up to the audience because this is public hearing. Anybody out there, questions, comments, concerns? I always do this 3 times because of
Tony?
yes.
So
Shoot.
John Guskowski, just so for the records, we have this on the record, and for members of the audience who may not be aware, this is a single family residence to be built on River Road. It's partially under construction now. The reason that it's coming before planning and zoning for a special exception is because it is larger than 4,000 square feet in total floor area, which makes it required to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a public hearing and to the Gateway Commission for review. So that is why a single family residence, which is otherwise a straight zoning permit, needs to come to public hearing.
Thank you, John. All right. With that information, anybody from the public have any questions, comments, concerns? Anybody from the public, questions, comments, concerns? All right. Anybody from the commission, questions?
I have one question.
Yep.
Two meetings ago, I had thought that Marion was pro having the tree warden come in and walk the property and mark trees, and I drove by the other day and it seemed like there's really nothing there.
Oh, that would be I think that's the neighboring property.
Yeah.
I have an aerial that I can share.
Okay, appreciate it. Sorry about that, Tom.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I will stop my share and allow you to share.
Oh, sure. Oh, the buttons are always in a different spot. All right, let's see.
Oh, mine auto hiding. It's always fun to find them.
All right, I think this is the right one. Okay.
There we go.
Right. And can you all see the aerial?
We can?
Okay.
We can.
Okay. So 112 River Road is, if you can see the hand on the screen. This is 112. And then 108, 114, 125, and then 105. So you can see, I can zoom in a little bit. So this is with the drone. And so here, this is the property. The roof has already been put on. It's a 1-story structure. And so you can just barely see it here, it's a flat roof. And then here is River Road. And this property, we're basically taking it like north up the river and then looking back towards the hillside.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that.
course.
Tom, while you have the screen, why don't you, could you put up the gateway recommendations? I see you have that up
Sure.
tab, just so everyone can see the 3 findings.
These for the first one, that was maintaining the trees between there's River Road here, and then there's an access drive that then connects up to the neighboring properties. And so all the trees to the north, which is page down, they asked that we retain those. So that's the first one. And then the second term was the muted colors. So we had a mock-up when the commission did their site walk, and they liked the colors that we had, which are very muted. So it's meant to blur and blend in with the hillside. And then exterior lighting, just keeping that to limiting it so that it's mostly for safety and for egress, like navigating kind of the hilly site by necessitate some path lighting, but no significant uplight on trees or the structure. Those were the three conditions that they had in their findings.
Okay. Marion, I saw you had your hand up, and I'm not sure if you put it back down.
No, I didn't.
Go ahead.
Okay. Actually, a couple of things. I also went by there again today, and it is a very wooded site, so I don't think anybody needs to walk it or confirm. But I noticed that between the assessor's card and what was on the application, there are some differences in the square footage of areas. So I wonder if the architect can just go through what he counted, and maybe don't go through all of the dimensions, but dimensions of maybe the garage and general of the house, because there's discrepancies, and I just want to make sure we all are aware of what's being counted.
I have, let me pull it up.
Do you need the architecturals? I have them if you're.
Well, I made for the previous meeting, I did a diagram. I'm trying to see if I have it still available. If I can just pull it up on the floor plan. Oh, sorry, it's the wrong one. There we go. Oops, sorry. Window width. Let's see that'll work. Okay. So the area that we use to calculate, we use the perimeter of the main level. It's a 1-story building that's on a base. But the way that we design the house is that even the backside of the main level is embedded into the hillside. We had to use a concrete foundation wall that goes up a full 10 feet. And so that has, in this corner, it's only about the roof is only 3 feet above the ground. And so the main level of the house is actually embedded into the hillside. And so that square footage is approximately 3,600. And then down below, we have a garage. That garage is here. And the portion of it that does not have, it has a deck above. So the portion of it that does not have occupied space above, we included that just kind of in a good faith measure. So that was just under 4,000 square feet. And the reason why we didn't include, so over here, the reason why there's a big discrepancy between what we had applied initially and then what we put on permit. For the permit, we have a crawl space, and so that space is less than 6 feet, so it's not habitable. And because of the reason why we have that is because there was a lot of lead, and it just was going to be such an excessive cost to continue to blast to be able to think, to have that extra square footage. And so we don't have the square footage over here, but it is crawl space. And so considering that there wasn't a stipulation applying for permit that area, it wouldn't affect, if we use it or not. And so that space here, crawl space, that's a significant portion. And then the rest here, if you use the calculations or the information that's on the gateway document, saying that if the mean average around the perimeter of the outside of the house is more than I believe 6 feet, or than 8 feet, then it's considered to be not habitable. So we don't have a bathroom downstairs. We have no access to light and air. There are no windows within this portion of the house. And really there's only the garage door that goes outside and then the access door. And so that was our reason why the house square footage that we used to apply was underneath 4,000 square feet, because we used that upper portion of the house that has the windows, the bathrooms, and is above grade.
Okay. Marion, does that answer your question?
I'm not sure.
And then I can pull up, I can pull up some renderings that we have.
Okay,
That might help.
just out of curiosity, what's the area of the garage?
Sorry, I don't have that handy.
Because that's one of the areas of discrepancy. And it may not be anything. I'm just trying to figure out how you got what you got. Because the assessor says the garage is 922, and I think you say it's 786. It a little over 100 square feet. It's not a lot. I'm just curious. And there's a couple of other areas that it's more, and maybe perfectly reasonable. I'm just trying to figure out how you got your figures.
Sure. We haven't received a copy of I don't think we've received a copy of the assessor report.
It was just the card. I just happened to pull the card. That's all.
Got it. Okay.
So you said this house was under construction too, is that correct?
Yes, it's currently under construction.
So I'm curious if maybe that's the discrepancy too. Maybe they were out before, just foundation was half poured, or, that could be part of it too, if it's not a finished product yet.
That's true. I'm just trying to understand.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying on this document here?
Yes. So for instance, the first floor, if you look at the first floor, the assessor says 3662, and you've got 3648. Well, that to me is almost the same.
Okay. Right.
So that's not a problem.
Okay.
And I think it's basically the basement, and it may be just what's below grade. And you were talking about that area that wasn't 6 feet tall. And maybe that's the main discrepancy, because the assessor has 3,000 square feet and you've got just shy of 2,000 square feet. But that's a fairly significant area. And I was just trying to figure out where the discrepancy was.
That's probably the crawl space area.
Okay,
which.
and that makes
um,
sense.
Mhm. Yeah, that it's a significant area. I'll go back to those plans.
Okay.
So in a worst case scenario, this is permissible by zoning, and would this have any bearing on our recommendations?
No, I'm just trying to understand because people get very confused about this of what we count and when we count it. And like I said, I just wanted to understand. So the house may not be as quote unquote big as it seems to be
Mhm.
Right, we
because
we wouldn't
of
count it
the
also.
fact that it's underground or
Mhm.
parts, it's a crawl space versus the basement.
Yeah, so the crawl space area here is almost 49 feet wide by a little more than 20 feet deep. So that's almost 1,000 square feet. 49
Okay.
times 20.
So there you go. Yeah, so it's the crawl space.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay. And then just this is the professional renderings we had done of the house. And so this is that corner of the house that's embedded in the hillside.
Okay.
You can see here that that whole crawl space area is deep underground at this location. And then this is the front of the house. And here it's embedded.
Anybody else from the commission? Questions, comments?
I just wanted to comment on the gateways recommendations. The only thing I was surprised at is that they didn't cite this project as being exemplary and exceptional, because I think it's probably best response I've seen architecturally to the criteria and guidelines in the gateways. I guess they're guidelines in regard to respecting the site and being, gentle on the landscape. I think this is a beautiful project.
I was going to mention that myself. I like how theirs is tucked in the woods, and to the left, the right in front of them is clear cut.
Yep. This image that's on the screen right now is exactly what we're looking to do on their site, and exactly what we're not looking to do on all the other sites. So I really think this is exceptional.
Thank you, Alan. Anybody else, commission? If not, looking for a motion to close the public hearing on this one.
I'll make the
Jerry Roberts
motion.
Jerry Roberts from the public had a comment.
Oh, didn't see his hand go up. Jerry, please go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah, it blends in with the background. Yeah, I wanted to agree from, as the Deep River Gateway guy, these pictures tell the world about how things can and can't be done. In this house, they did a fantastic job of leaving their trees up. They're going to get a view of the river, a peekaboo view, but as you can see, the properties on either side of it and the new property in front of it, it's a whole different story of clear cutting. So we really appreciate what these folks did. And when they showed us the finishings, the wood blends in with the hillside, and it's a poster card of how these things should be done.
Thanks so much.
Okay, looking for a motion to close this portion of the public hearing. I think Marion started it, but.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you,
Second.
Marion. Oh, thanks, Mike. Jonathan?
Wait, I'm sorry, Tony?
Yep.
Just before it's closed, Tom, if you would you be able to email me the copy of that aerial?
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.
Tom, if you could email that to Gateway as well, that's a great picture for us to have for our records.
Of course.
Thank you.
Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
No worries. I don't know if Jonathan answered. So Jonathan? I'm going to skip him for a second. Alan?
Yes.
Stan?
Who's ever in charge of the office? So what do you think happened?
Sam?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, couldn't get on mute.
No worries. Fred?
Yes.
I think that's everybody that's seated. All right. I'm going to take my share back here. You can see my agenda somewhere.
Thanks.
Okay, item 2, subdivision application for a 3-lot subdivision at 277 River Road, map 71, lot 4B. Applicant Thomas K. Boyd and Catherine Denosier. This is continued. We actually have an email from the applicant's engineer looking to postpone this to the June 15th meeting. John, do we have to vote on this or just?
Yeah, you'd want to vote to
Okay.
continue the hearing.
Okay, looking for a motion to continue this.
So moved.
Thank you, Marion. Looking for a second.
I'll second it, Stan.
Thank you, Stan. Jonathan?
Where I was suspended.
Okay, you were somewhere. Jonathan, we're gonna continue this, right? Fred?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
You guys? All right. Onward and upward here. So item C, text amendment to section 4.29 of the Deep River zoning regulations, village commercial, to allow for private schools. The petitioner is Connecticut Coastal Academy. Is there an applicant here to discuss this?
Yes, I'm here, and I believe Mike Bonanno is here as well. This is Pam Potemry.
Okay.
We're having some,
I am here.
I'm sorry, hold on one
is
second.
it an issue if I don't put my screen on, only because we're having issues in North Stonington with the Wi-Fi, so I've only caught part of the meeting.
No worries.
Okay,
So it's pretty straightforward. You're just looking to add that to, our regulations. Is there anything you want to elaborate on that? If not, open it up to comments.
no, I think that what we're looking for is to be able to apply for a special exception. And this would allow us to do that.
Fantastic. All right, members of the public? Anybody
I
have-
had a brief comment. John Wojtovich. Overall, I think the plan for having a school of this nature in town is great. I just question the specific location, just being right on Main Street, and I wonder if, and no offense to the applicant.
Hey, John, real quick. So this is just for the overall zone. I don't mean to cut you
Oh,
short.
I'm sorry.
It's the overall zone. If they do come back, we can talk about site specific, but this is just
Okay,
zone. Sorry.
no worries.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Anybody else from the public? Questions about just the zone change, not site specific? Anybody from the public?
Yeah, me, if I can say something.
Please,
Ju-
Jared,
just-
go ahead.
And I know we're not supposed to be site specific. Is this, I take it this is not in the gateway zone because it's on,
Main Street.
right. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
No worries. One more time. Anybody from the public?
Just John W. again. I had a quick question. I apologize if it's not the right type of question, but is the proposed change,
Mhm.
would that allow, like, is it for businesses that would be non-taxed? I wasn't sure if this would, I don't know if that's a question I can ask at this time.
So planning and zoning wouldn't get involved whether this was we can't set that as whether they're tax exempt or not.
Got it.
So this would just be
Yeah, if I-
schools and,
If I might,
got
yeah, it's a difference between land use and land ownership. The Planning and Zoning Commission manages land use. They need to be basically agnostic as to who owns it and what their corporate structure is.
Thank you.
that's it for the public. I'm going to open it up to the commission.
I have my hand up.
Oh, Dan, you're on our commission, so I was going to do, you're
All
running
right, I'm
first to the
sorry. I'm
commission.
an alternate today, so I wasn't sure where I sit on that fence.
No, you can ask all the questions you want. You just can't, you can't vote unless you're seated for, a regular member. So one last call, anybody from the audience who's not a commission member? Okay, Dan, you're up.
So it isn't site specific, but the whole point, I think, of having it written the way it is what you once it's changed in the documentation, then
Mhm.
we're opening up the floodgates to areas that we definitely may not want to have non-commercial businesses.
Correct.
So I'm agreeing. I mean, I understand what you're saying it's not site specific, but we kind of need to think of it as like, well, since it affects all sites,
But so I'm going to play devil's advocate here. So it is a special exception. So anything that they, let's say somebody came into a school, you know, at the Red House, and the Red House moved out and they want to put a school in there. Do we think it would, so they would come before us with an application, do we think it would fit there? And that would be up to us whether we say yes or no.
right? In this situation, though, the Red House has schooled me a couple times, I have to say. But apart from that, you could say yes, special exception, but if the next school comes along, or if a Kumon comes along, or something else comes along, and then, well, you let it happen for this. I'm just using the school as an example because it ties in.
Yep.
Well, then we're kind of in a predicament. It's hard to argue away of like, well, you know, we only allow 2. Well, that's not written anywhere to only allow 2. We'd have to say that we only allow 2, or we only allow 1. I mean, I think it's a blanket right now, and that's really what the discussion is. So the decision is, do we want to change it for that whole zone?
Agreed. Anybody else, commission?
Tony, do you have the regs handy?
I do not, but I can get them. Can you give me a second?
It just may be worth showing the commission just the table of potential uses
Oh,
in this zone,
yep, give me 1 second. That's a little easier to do.
in the village commercial zone. So this would be, you know, there's a couple of dozen. And so then, you know, the idea here is it's just adding another potential use to the menu of uses that are allowable in that zone. It's not, you know, locking anyone in to only one use or another.
I said easy, and now the GIS won't load.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the regs, not the.
Oh, yeah, I was going to click on the cheat sheet that was on that site.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I have the regs up if you want me to pan over.
I think I got it. If you got, can you guys see it or no? I might have to new share it.
Not yet.
There we go. So, is this what you're after, John?
Yeah, I just thought that, so the proposed change would be to the far right-hand column. The right-hand column sort of shows the universe of uses right now, which would include, you know, federal and state town buildings, and the first several are just residential. So if you scroll down, you can see what's allowed there currently: inns, bed and breakfast, combined use buildings, retail businesses, restaurants, theaters, all sorts of those things. And then this would just be changing the one category of public and private schools.
Yep.
From not allowed to special permit or special exception, and we have non-academic schools are already allowed. So it's just, again, it's not locking anyone into anything, but it is expanding the universe of potential uses in that village commercial zone.
And I mean, once somebody does come forward with an application, it is pretty site specific. You say, you know, it doesn't fit in a lot of buildings. You know, it would be site specific when that comes up. Anybody else from the commission?
Tony, I have a couple comments.
Alan, go ahead.
I think that I'm still of the opinion that this is an appropriate use within this zone. There's already institutional uses. There are uses which are non-revenue generating. We allow churches. We have a lot of municipal offices. It's the right context for this type of activity. I think one thing that's happening are people are focusing on the applicant and not on the amendment change. If somebody had come in with a proposition for a culinary institute, I think you'd have unanimous agreement that this is the right place for it. And this is the type of use that this text change is talking about. We're talking about vocational education. We're talking about a hairdressing academy. It's not a matter of whether we like or want that particular use, but this is the appropriate location in town for that type of function based on the current patterns of use, the proximity of other uses that are allowed that are synergistic, and the fact that this is not just a commercial zone, that it's a very public zone. It's where the town services exist. It's in proximity to other educational institutions, even though those are in a residential district. The fact that it's a different type of educational institution, I think makes it even more appropriate to be in the village commercial. So I think in the original discussions when they came in, just to get a feel for appropriateness, I'm still very much in favor of this use being in the village commercial district. I think the whole discussion of whether it's for profit, not for profit, taxable, tax exempt, is not a discussion for this commission and not relevant to the pattern of uses relative to our zoning regulations. So I just want to say that I'm very much in favor of it. And I think that we need to keep in mind that we're talking about a zone in a regulation change. We're not talking about a specific application. And the fact that this is coming forward to allow it as a special exception allows us to weigh the implications of each future application that would come before the commission with this type of use. So I'll leave it at that, but I do want to reiterate the fact that I'm in favor of this amendment.
Thank you, Alan. Dan, you got your hand back up?
Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, non-academic schools are allowed, aren't they? Isn't that the next line down on the table, or 3 lines down? And I think the schools that Alan just mentioned, which would all be awesome, a culinary institute, I would really love that. But I think that is like a non-academic institution, or the vocational schools. So in agreement with Alan, I think we already allow those. So I guess that not to focus too much on who the applicant is, but if they're not academic, then we don't really need to change either.
Well, I mean, if you teach music, is that academic or is that non-academic, like a community music school?
So,
Well, yeah, I mean, I won't quibble with
I think
semantics. I understand what
we're-
you're saying. Any education is any academy is academy, sure. But I mean, if we quantify it as, you know, is it a K through 12? Is it going to be part of the school system? I think that if it's saying, like, thank you for putting it back up, private schools or public schools, universities, I mean, that's definitely something that has some type of grade system, promotion system, you know, like a church school, for example.
Like
And I
Yale?
think that's, in interpreting it, I think the reason why we have the other one is because that's everything else.
So, I mean, but again, I think Alan made a good point with, if it was Yale who showed up, I mean, you know, we're trying to, again, we got to play that game that it's not about the applicant and what they may put there. It's about the zone as overall. Mike, you got your hand up?
Yeah, Tony, I'm not sure when this would become a part of this conversation or decision, but being that part of our purview is safety, we obviously have a pretty serious problem on Main Street where there were 4 accidents in that location. If we're going to add children to that area, who's going to become responsible for maintaining the safety of those kids? There was an accident right in front of that just a week and a half ago. Is it the state, or is the town going to be held liable because we already know of an existing problem? So whatever the usage is, I mean, I think for children involved, I think we have to take that into consideration, whether it's now, whether it's the next meeting, whenever. It should be part of that zone change if we're going to allow that.
Agreed. So it should, I mean, again, that's site specific, you know, when the special exception comes forward, is this going to create a safety issue?
I don't want to discourage them. I just want to know, is the state, because we keep pointing fingers at the state,
Yep.
it's their road. When are we going to be able to say, okay, the state's taking care of it, you've got a green light, but other than that, we're concerned about the kids' safety. So how does this play into this scenario?
That's a good question. Are they going to have constables and crossing guards like the schools? Like our schools that are in place now. Again, very site specific. So I think that's a great question when someone does come forward. Fred, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I look at our precious commercial district that we have, and to allow a special exemption of any type that's not already delineated in our regulations, to me, doesn't make sense. It looks like we're manipulating things to allow someone to come in for a special exemption, and then that'll be a one-time thing theoretically, and then the next is someone else does come in with a different proposal that's not necessarily any more beneficial to the town, but we don't have any way of saying no, because they're going to be able to say, no, they've already allowed similar here. And, we could end up in court just because of the fact that we allowed one and now we won't allow another on a special exemption. We have very, very little commercial district. And I think that needs to be guarded at all costs and promoted as a commercial district, not a school district. We have other areas that allow schools. We have churches that are basically empty. There's a lot of property around that could be used that isn't necessarily right on our main street, because I don't see where it's going to benefit the other businesses in the town. I don't see where it's really appropriate to our main street commercial district to make this change.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Mike Benai, got your hand up?
I do. Thank you again, and I appreciate the thoughtful discussion everybody's having. I do represent Connecticut Coastal Academy. I just had a couple real quick comments here with an appreciation of the commission to continue to try to steer the conversation on the overall district change rather than the site-specific change. A lot of the concerns that I'm hearing, which are absolutely valid, have to do with the applicant at the time the applicant makes the application and not so much a district-wide issue. I would note that while the academy is a school, it is a for-profit commercial endeavor. It's not a non-for-profit school. This is a business, and I do appreciate, Tony, you're directing. And there was another person as well that was directing that. He's off my screen, at least at this point. Take a look at those schedule of uses. Many of them are, far more intensive commercially as far as traffic, as far as, recreational facilities. And I understand the very important concern about children, and obviously, when the application comes forward, that would be something we would look forward to making sure we address the commission's concerns with. But you already permit specifically arcades and gaming rooms and other similar facilities that are permitted there that one would, I think, logically think would have a younger demographic draw that are only allowed in the village commercial district and not in the other district. So I don't think it changes the character of the nature of what's allowed or what its schedule of uses is. It just simply adds another permitted use. But the vetting that the commission will be responsible for at the time that the commission has an application, we would expect it to be rigorous and thorough and have all those concerns that can be addressed. I just don't see what this added part of it, especially when schools are already permitted in this district, really changes the nature of what is there. And that is hopefully not being interpreted as, dismissing the concerns that are out there, because it's not. We have the same ones, and student safety is a primary concern for the academy. But there's no real substantial change to what's already permitted. It just permits another option in there. So, with that, if there's anything that people want us to specifically address, I'm happy to do it. I think it would probably border on site-specific questions, which I think the instructions have been to not get into that. So I'm specifically not going over, a number of things that we will go over if and when the application comes in there. I would just say, I hope that the commission takes an opportunity here to take a look at these regs that are in front of you and see what's already allowed in there and how, de minimis the adding single special exception to be permitted. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Marion?
Sorry. I just want to say that I agree with Alan. I think adding a use is a good thing. I think the more uses we have in general is probably good to make sure that our area is vibrant. And period. That's it. I just agree with Alan.
Thank you, Marion. Angus, looks like you get your hand up too. If you're talking, you're muted.
No,
There we go.
I know it.
I do it all the time.
Looking for the stupid button. Sorry about that. And
No worries.
I think my internet will handle it. I'll also, just because I don't like talking without seeing me. So I want to suggest that Alan probably expressed it better than I can. But I do believe, similar to what Marion just said, the diversity of Main Street really makes a Main Street more vibrant. And a school like this, or not like this, but a school can add to that vibrancy in multiple ways. It just, like I agree with Alan, I agree with Marion. I think that this change of use is the appropriate thing to do because it still puts this under a special permit or a special exception. It allows the commission the opportunity to review every applicant that comes in and deem whether that is appropriate or not in that specific location. And, we can talk about it once the application comes in, but I have to say, I think education is one of the best things in the world, and offering that in our town is one of the best things that this town can do. And probably like Alan said, the diversity that this brings and the vibrancy that this kind of thing can bring to a Main Street is just as valuable as another shop. So I do think it is the right direction.
All right. Thank you. Angus, looks like Alan's going to piggyback on you there. Go ahead, Alan.
I do want to respond to the comment about the safety of children in our village commercial district. Our village commercial district should be about children. It's the location of our library. It's the location of recreational facilities, whether they're, permitted like an arcade or just the places that the kids in town are hanging out. So I don't think we need to regulate uses to keep children safe. I think it's a matter of it's a design and a planning issue to make our commercial district both pedestrian friendly and child friendly. It's absolutely the place that I think is where we want to have our youth and overall population. So speaking to the issue of diversity with libraries, churches, things that are non-revenue generating are absolutely in line with the commercial enterprises. That's what makes the village district a village district and not just a commercial district. So I think that a lot of this is laid out in our existing POCD, and we should respect that.
Thank you, Alan. Anybody else? If not, looking for a motion to close the public hearing portion of this. Nope.
Tony, can I just say one thing? I'm sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand. I
Don't worry about
apologize. Okay, so so I want to just really make clear that I look at this as an opportunity in a town. So when I started our school, I've been on the Board of Ed. I've served as the building chair for building our new schools in North Stonington, and I'm very cognizant of a couple of things. Obviously, safety, doing traffic studies, like that's in my wheelhouse, and I fully intend to present that to the commission. So safety absolutely is number one. I think the important thing to also be cognizant of, right? So there's a balance there should be in education, and you have to balance the business side of things with the educational side of things. And oftentimes people assume that because you're an educational institution that you are a nonprofit. I purposely created and established our school to be nonprofit for a variety of reasons. Number one being, with all due respect to board members, that I wanted to be able to provide my students opportunities immediately and not have to go through a process and prolonged. Our kids are, you know, a lot of them have immediate needs. When I looked at the regulations, there to me, there could be argument either way with, you know, what is within the public and private schools, colleges, universities, et cetera, versus a non-academic school, right? So I think that both could be argued. I am coming before the board simply to ask for the allowance to apply. If you decide at the end of the day, this is not fitting within what you envision for Deep River, I accept that, because I want, like I said before, I want my students to be accepted and feel welcome wherever we land. So I look at this as a great opportunity for the town, as well as a great opportunity for my students. And I just really feel that I want you to know what my intention is in going through this process and, you know, jumping through as many hoops as you need me to. But I want there to be full transparency in that.
Thank you. Greg, you threw your hand back up?
Yeah, because I'm hearing all of this inclusion words and you know, one thing that, to my understanding, with a school like this is, or with any school, the students are bussed in and bussed out. So tell me, how does that improve our town situation?
Let's not talk about the application. Let's talk
I'm not talking about the
zoning
application. I'm
regulations.
talking about a school in general, Alan. And in a school in general, students are bussed in and bussed out. So how does that benefit our downtown when they're bussed in and bussed out?
We would look forward to the opportunity with an application to show you, sir, that it's not a school bus school, sir. When you see the application, and this is why we do have to caution and remain non-site specific.
Yeah,
I'm not just asking about your school. I'm asking about schools in general, but they're not walking there. They're not living in town. So essentially in the evenings and other times where we have a commercial district that is want for vibrancy. One of our other members who's not here tonight has talked about how he has spoken about how he goes to Middletown or other places because, quite frankly, there's not enough to do in Deep River. And to me, changing the zoning to allow for something that will be dark at night doesn't necessarily benefit us.
So can I ask you, sir, was the bank open at night? Because I wasn't aware of that.
okay. We're getting site specific. So I think, Fred, you do have valid points. I appreciate that. Angus, you got your hand back up?
I do. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that when this first came in front of this board, the unbridled enthusiasm for the board was such that this board voted to actually step outside of the lines and write and get together with a special meeting to write this proposed change on their own. That was not appropriate, and that was recognized as not appropriate. So it came back to ask the applicant to do so. But I want to suggest that this board looked at this well enough to recognize that this is in fact a positive for the town, and was going to go so far, was willing to go so far, and was so enthusiastic that they were going to go so far as to propose this regulation on their own and to change this regulation on their own. So I just wanted to remind everyone of that.
Thank you. Angus, Stan, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think Alan and Marion are right, that we have no judgment on who comes in, but we make it easier when somebody does want to come in with an application like this, that we have more diversity through the town. We can't say that we just not going to have something because we don't want it. It's whatever we can make happen for somebody that has an application.
All right, thank you. All right, that's everybody. Dan, you got your hand up? Go ahead.
Yeah, just my point going back is we do allow the non-academic schools, the music schools, all that by special permit, and not being site specific to anything. Since we do allow a special permit, there isn't, I really see a reason to change it in any other place.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Again, if anybody from the commission has anything else, if not, looking for a motion just to close the public hearing on this portion of this.
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Marion. Looking for a second.
Second, Tony.
Thank you, Mike. Jonathan? He was in there somewhere. Alan?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
And Fred?
Yes.
You guys? Okay, back to the agenda. On to item D, special exception SE 23-04, 447 Main Street, map 59, lot 14A, change of use, animal facility in general commercial district. And applicant is Jenny Anderson. Jenny?
Tony?
Yep.
Tony, can we back up just for a minute? Because we didn't have commission discussion on that.
We will, and then, so that'll come back up later on in the agenda.
Okay. Thank
That was
you.
just to close the public hearing.
Okay.
All right, is there an applicant? Or agent here? For this application?
Hi, it's Jenny.
Okay, just want to give us a little background?
I am currently own Head to Tail Dog Grooming in Old Saybrook, and the facility is small, and it's in Saybrook, and I live in Chester. So I saw an available space in Deep River to kind of bring my business towards home, and there are no dog grooming places from over down in Tylerville all the way to Old Saybrook. I think that I can take everyone in between and kind of bring them all into Deep River and make it more convenient for the town, myself, my family, and all of my other clients. If you'll have me.
All right, thank you. Is everybody familiar with the site? Just trying to give everybody a better location. Maybe I'll bring it up on Street View. While I'm doing that, is anybody from the audience, questions, comments? My JS does not want to work today. Anybody from the commission? Questions, comments? All right.
Hold on.
Thank you, Mike. Marion, you beat him to it.
Oh, just some general stuff. It's dog grooming. I understand it's not any overnight type of stuff. But area of the operation, is it going to be in the entire building, half the building? It wasn't quite
paperwork,
clear.
right? Yeah. Okay. Was that a question directly specifically to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So my clients come in at a designated time for an appointment. Let's say you went to go have your hair done at 9. Your hairdresser sees you, and when you're done, you get to leave and go home. And I see 2 dogs most of the time at a time. And when they're done, they go home. And that's how I work throughout the day until my last appointment at 1:30. And by 5, I get to leave and go home and see my family.
Okay, so are you using the entire first floor? What's the area? Parking is determined by area, so that's what I'm trying to get at. In
Okay,
terms of how many
so-
spaces, I know you're saying, I think there's 6 spaces, and I
Yeah,
believe
there's-
there's an apartment upstairs.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with me. I am downstairs in a 1,200 square foot space that was the retail area of the rental place, so. To the right of the building is the stonemason, and above that is apartments. There's a garage off to the right. That's not me. That's not your circle. That's me. With your little hand.
And I'm assuming these spots are designated for you?
Yes.
Okay.
And more if I needed it.
Okay. Anybody else from the commission? All right.
Tony, quick question for you. If we approve this applicant, can someone else come in here? Hopefully Jenny will be here for a long time. Does that change the zone use for another type of animal usage?
No, so if another dog groomer came in,
well, not say a dog groomer, that's obviously not a problem, given that it's a scheduled appointment in the home at night. My concern is, it's some other type of animal housing that could be a different type of usage, or would that have to come back before?
They would have to come back before us. I don't have the reg in front of me, but let's say they wanted to open a vet there. Just because they had animals there doesn't make them one and the same.
Okay, thank you.
We already have dog training and a bird sanctuary in close proximity to this, so there's precedent for this type of use.
Yeah, my concern, Alan, was, had there ever been outside dog storage, if it became a dog hotel, and, dog barking at night can become a problem for neighbors, even a quarter mile away. That was my concern.
All right. Anybody else from the commission? Audience, if not, looking for a motion to close the public hearing on this. Anyone?
I'll
Honey,
close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Marion. Thank you, Alan. Jonathan?
Yes.
All right. Stan?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Thank you, guys. All right. On to approval of minutes for April 20th, 2023. Everybody have a chance to look these over. If not, looking for a motion to approve or amendments or.
Tony, I would move to approve the minutes as written.
Thank you, Alan. For a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mike.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Stan?
Yes.
Thank you. Fred?
Yes.
And
Yes.
is it just me or are you guys getting an echo too?
Yeah, I think that was actually in Stan. Stan, I'm sorry I muted you. I think there was an echo coming through your.
Okay. And Mike?
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
And me too.
Oh, I thought you made the motion. Sorry.
No, I
The
didn't.
echo got me
First
thrown
time.
off. That's right. Yep. Okay. Thank you, Marion. Sorry. Item 5, old business, special exception SE 23-03, 112 River Road, the new 4,000 square foot single family residence in the Gateway Conservation District. Applicant Tom Lontine. Sorry about that again. Any more discussion on this?
Question,
Who is that, please?
Rich Balducci, 245 River Road.
Rich, the public hearing is actually closed on this, so I can't let you ask any questions, sorry. Anybody from the commission?
Closed.
Yep, that was the public hearing portion was at the beginning of the meeting. Anyone from the commission? Questions? All right, any discussion on this? If not, looking for a motion.
I will make the motion to approve the application.
And I'll second that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
That we include the Gateway Commission's 3 recommendations.
Okay, I although to tell you the truth, I have a problem with one of the recommendations.
Okay, no, it was
They
just a
just have a
suggestion.
blanket, not cutting trees.
Yep.
I would like to say unless there's a safety hazard.
Okay.
But other than that, fine.
Yeah, I would tend to agree that conditions aren't necessary on account of the applicant has checked every box. I think it's a perfectly fine as it is. Again, Marion made the motion, so she can accept them if necessary, but I don't think that there's any requirement for the commission to intervene in this application and would recommend just to approve it as is.
It's on you, Marion.
To some extent, it's what the commission would like. I mean, I don't have a problem just approving it. Because I think the applicant has said that they're willing to accept those conditions. I just, no trees fall sometimes when you don't want them to, but I think, again, driving by, the site is wooded. So it does meet the intent of the regulation. Period.
Okay, so continue as is. Alan, you were the second, right?
Yes.
John?
No, I think
I was the second.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Okay, Jonathan?
Roger.
Fantastic. Alan?
yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And Fred?
Yes.
Okay, subdivision approved. Subdivision application, item B, that was postponed. Item C, text amendment to section 4.29 of the Deep River zoning regulations, village commercial to allow for private school. The petitioner's Connecticut Coastal Academy. All right, any more discussion by the commission? If not, good for a motion.
Yeah, Tony,
Make a motion.
Tony, can I speak to that, Tony?
I think Dan beat you to it, and I'll come right back to you, Fred.
Okay.
I haven't seen this come up before where we've had letters that weren't brought up up front. And so we do have the letter from the Economic Development concerning this. And so my question is, are we going to reference that before it goes to a vote? Because I think there were some good points in that.
I was going to bring that up, but it is very site specific. If you look at it, they mentioned Connecticut Coastal Academy only. They don't mention any other sites. So I intended to bring that up. I'm sorry.
That is the not, because we're talking about a school, but so
I know.
that's not specific. That is the not, right?
Yeah, they went ahead and used that very site. So I was going to bring it up if they came forward with an application.
But the second part of that, the suggestion, and then this is my question to you, is whether or not this should go for some type of vote. And I haven't seen a precedent for that anywhere else. So that was kind of to everyone else on the commission. When would something like that go up for a vote outside of the commission to the public as opposed to this commission?
It wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
All right, because that was in the letter. That was at the end of the letter, a recommendation that would go up for in one of the letters.
That doesn't mean they have a complete mastery of statutory responsibilities.
Which is why
that's
exactly
a suggestion to change our statutes.
Yeah.
Not a suggestion to change our regulations.
To give, so you do get the public input when you ask for a public hearing, and you know, it's happened a few times where you've come out with a reg change and quite a few people show up at the town and you know they're against it, so you have to take them into consideration. So that's the nice part about a special exception is you do get public input. Fred, right back at you since you had your hand up.
I hope it didn't go unnoticed by the applicant's comment of, well, was the bank open at night? To me, that kind of shows a sarcasm in hearing that if we want to make a change to allow things that are going to be dark at night, that's not going to do our downtown and our commercial district a whole lot of good. You know, so that's my 2 cents, and it wasn't site specific to that particular property, but any other property on Main Street. But it didn't seem to me like the petitioner appreciated that opinion, and that was her opinion was site specific regarding whether the bank was open at night. Okay. There are other uses we can use that property for, someone can use that property for, that I think would far more benefit the town than something that's shuttered during the evening. I'm done.
Thank you, Fred. Anybody else from the commission? Have anything they want to add to this or make a motion?
I will make a motion. Basically to approve application for the text amendment to allow private schools in the village commercial zone.
Okay. Second?
With a
I'll
special
second it,
exception,
Stan.
sorry.
Stan seconded that. Any more discussion on this motion? All right, hearing none. Jonathan?
Aye.
Alan?
Yes.
Fred?
No,
And Mike?
Yes.
All right. Motion passed. It's just the zone change part of this. Onward to item D, special exception SE 23-04, 447 Main Street, map 59, lot 14A, change of use to allow an animal facility in the general commercial district. Applicant Jenny Anderson. Any discussion? If not, looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion
go ahead.
to accept.
Thank you, Stan. Looking for a second?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Thank you, Marion. Jonathan, or sorry, any more discussion on this motion? If not. Okay.
I was just going to say, I think it's an area that's suited for the application. I think the previous use, there was a lot of traffic in that particular area, so this is certainly not going to be any more traffic. It's served by sewer, so doesn't appear to be any environmental problems, and they have enough parking.
And they cleaned the site up. It's starting to look great.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yes. Jonathan,
Can I add to that as well?
please.
You know, when people drop their dogs off to do some grooming or whatever, they have the opportunity to enjoy the town of Deep River as waiting.
Yeah. All right. Jonathan
Aye.
and Alan,
Yes, and welcome.
Fred
yes,
and Mike.
Yes.
All right, good. You are approved. All right, on to new business. Item 6. Any new business that we didn't get on the agenda tonight?
No new business.
And all right, moving on to item 7, reports. ZEO. Lay it on us, John.
I'll see if Steve has anything first.
Like throwing Steve under the bus.
That's right.
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Yeah. So just, yeah, I mean, the logistics of these multiple applications have been stuff we're handling, as well as the related questions. And I appreciate Marion's interrogation as to the discrepancies between assessors' square footages and the square footage listed by the applicant. It's a complicated thing. And for Gateway, we go by the town's definition of total floor area. And a lot of that also has to do with the habitability and usability and subsurface nature of basement areas and grade. So these things are very tricky. We've been trying to be as consistent as possible. And part of the challenge, at least in the case of 112, which as you all say is an exemplary project, is the square footages of some of these things changed from the original zoning application to the final building application, which is why this ultimately had to come back. So it's not easy to calculate, and it's even less easy to explain consistently. But we've been doing our best to be conscientious of this. The only other thing I would note, Tony, I don't know if you want to mention this now, is that I participated along with Tony and along with Alan at the first meeting of a regional housing committee, which is put together by RiverCog. and is seeking input or seeking formal membership. I believe Angus is the designated representative, but was certainly open to having someone from planning and zoning step up and participate on a regular basis in the regional housing committee.
John, you mentioned my name. I don't think I was there. It's quite possible I wasn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant Angus. Tony and Angus.
Yep.
I'm sorry if I said Alex. Some other silver fox.
So looking for volunteers here. So I do plan to attend. I wasn't going to be official about this because it looks like most of these are during the day. So I tend to be double dipping on this. I don't know if that's acceptable.
Tony, I would like very much if someone from this commission was on that. It certainly is appropriate, especially given the planning of the POCD coming up and also the housing plan that we've already adopted. But I certainly understand folks are pretty busy and volunteering for things gets pretty crazy. But
When does this start? I'm booked up with boards for another 2 weeks, but then I have some bandwidth.
The initial comment section is just happened, but I think there's another one 2 weeks out, John.
I don't think they actually scheduled the next one yet. I think they're gonna.
No, we haven't scheduled yet. I think it was
they're gonna send
2 weeks or a month. These are going to be monthly meetings, was my understanding.
Yeah. Personally, I'd be happy to participate, but I'm not sure I can commit. Tony, if you were to participate and needed a backup as a tag team, if you had other commitments, I'd certainly be able to be your second.
I was just gonna say, if so, it looks like Dan was gonna volunteer too, so maybe that'll, if you don't mind, the three of us.
Well, I was going to say, because the Booster Club cruise season's almost over and I'm buried in that. But as soon as that's done, then there's a window and I'm happy to participate. Yeah.
Yeah, Angus, if that works, if we could,
I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can do that. We have to appoint a regular and an alternate.
Okay.
I was going to at least explore. I haven't gotten a response yet from the Housing Authority, whether they wanted one of their board members would be our alternate. But if we wanted to have a regular and an alternate from this commission, that would be great too. And I don't mind going to this. I'm enthusiastic and like it, but I think it would be better to have someone else.
Like I said,
I will be attending. I'll be attending anyway, so it doesn't much matter.
That was my intention, was to attend anyway, but I don't know if I could have so much voice as it does happen in the middle of the day. If Dan can do it, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. I'm very flexible in the middle of the day.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Tony, there's the last thing I saw you pulled up that bit of correspondence from Gateway.
Yep.
We didn't have a correspondence agenda item, so I figured we could bring it up here.
Yep.
So there is a public hearing. Gateway again is only regulatorily indirectly. Regulations are indirect through our zoning commission, but they are having a public hearing internally on their proposed regulatory changes regarding lighting and a few definitional changes, but it's mostly lighting standards, and that is May 25th, which is a week from today, next Thursday at 7 o'clock in Essex and also on Zoom.
And so I know this was just going to go on to this a little bit. I know this was a big concern. There was comments about lighting in the last one of our items that came up, and everybody was questioning lighting and stuff. So if you guys are interested, you should check this out. Maybe pick up some stuff that we can add to our regs.
All right.
Do they indicate how they expect this to be enforced?
I think it's a good question for their meeting.
Yeah, and it's this is their proposed regulation. It can only be promulgated through every zoning commission up and down the river. So it would fall, if it became a local zoning regulation, it would be Steve's responsibility.
Well, I think it's pretty important to participate in the public hearing too, to find out what the other towns are doing, so that there's some consistency in the regulations and enforcement. I see that Tanner was also copied on this. I think in terms of, wetlands, it's the dark skies and the lighting regulations relative to a lot of the projects I've been involved in. That's a crucial factor, is the habitat. So I will make every effort I can to participate, because again, I'm in favor of adopting their recommended regulations into our own. But it'd be good to have it in concert with all the other towns, what they adopt within the gateway, so there's some consistency, as well as I think some lessons to be learned.
Yeah, I will forward this over to everybody. When they have a link.
I think well, I mean, I believe it's in the one.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's in the OneDrive. There you go. Perfect.
And I just, as a note, I don't remember if Marion or Alan asked it. Essex, I believe, already adopted this, with the caveat that their zoning officer, Carrie Duquesne, expressed some concern about the enforceability. But yeah.
Yeah, Steve to do it.
Yeah, he signed up. He weirdly volunteered, so I don't know.
The first step is to adapt the regulation. The second step is to figure out how to enforce it and make it happen.
Right. But I think Old Lyme has not adopted it yet. Old Saybrook made some amendments to theirs.
Chester's holding off.
That's what I know about now.
Okay, Fred, you got your hand up.
John, what's the update on the trash facility?
Oh, thanks. Good question. We are, and it's good, both Angus and Tony are here. We are in negotiations. Basically, DEP is going through a mediation program, basically to divert sort of an extensive sort of public hearing and comment period through their permitting process. They have invited the parties, which is to say the town and the DEP and the trash facility, to discuss concerns and potential paths forward. So we are in mediation right now. But I would say that, my sense is, and Angus has been participating, attorney Ken Slater, Tony, and myself, and I think Angus has been representing our position, the town's position, quite well in terms of our regulatory denial, our regulatory permit limits, and our intent to retain public health, safety, welfare, traffic, road safety, odors, trash, that sort of thing.
Thank you.
All right. John, if you're done, I'm gonna put Marion on.
Oh. Oh, John can keep talking.
So just while you're looking that up, I wanted to reach just to say thank you, because this week I had my own meeting that I may have had to attend in Madison, and Alan's out of town, so Marion was very enthusiastic about taking the chairmanship, and
Yeah, right.
she was going to run this meeting, but I'm sorry I put you through the headache. But thank you for stepping up. That was really
With an iron hand.
right. This meeting would have been over already.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you.
So I guess with Marion's handoff, a POCD discussion is continuing. We've had a lot of really good discussions. We're on the topic of housing right now. We are hoping to, I think, probably have a set of specific housing policy recommendations in advance of our next meeting, which is the beginning of June. We'll sort of tentatively review and those, and then hopefully move on to the next chapter, which is to be determined.
All right.
And I was just going to add, I think what we seem to be working on, or the need, is for a little bit of alternative housing, for housing for young adults and for housing for older people who might want to downsize. We seem to have a lot of large houses and some smaller ones, but almost the starter housing seems to be the biggest need. So we're going to try to figure out a way to accommodate those.
If you don't mind me adding, I think what I took away from that meeting is there was a lot of people were asking about maybe a joint ventureship with the town to do something like this.
Oh, yeah.
That way there was a lot more oversight, and they didn't come in and go, look, we're going to build 7 one-bedroom apartments, and we end up with a 7-story building. So I think they were looking for something that was a town partnership with somebody to come up with something. So I think that was another good point that came out of that. Anyway, anything from the attorney, John or Steve? No?
No,
All right.
no, just, I mean, yeah, I assume we'll probably get a bill at some point when, after the mediation.
I thought he was pro bono. This is terrible. All right, Chairman. Angus, if you would, you wanted to ask the Board of Selectmen about the Board of Selectmen's ad hoc meeting?
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Yeah, we're trying to put together a group. So, the Board of Selectmen and the Sustainability Group have been working pretty hard with the DEP. And my lighting is horrible. Sorry, I look like a ghost. To try to revise how we approach the waste management in the town. We've started this voluntary food scraps program, which is more than likely going to be mandated by the state sometime in the future. But we've gotten ahead of it, and we're really actually it's kind of interesting. Deep River is leading the state in not only in the amount of percentage of saving from tonnage that's going into the landfills, but also in how clean it is. Folks are really paying attention, so it's been really great. But I'd like to have a group, a little bit more expanded group, work on how we move forward, not just with Deep River, but also with some of the regional needs regarding waste management. The state has mandated that communities join a regional waste authority. We right now belong to MIRA, but MIRA has imploded and will be disbanding shortly. And I think it would be appropriate for members of certain commissions to be part of an advisory group to work with the Board of Selectmen and advise the Board of Selectmen how best the town can move forward rather than the Board of Selectmen directing it themselves. I think that I've asked for, I'm asking now for planning and zoning to have a representative. I'm asking for the economic development to have a representative, for a couple of other groups, for Board of Finance to have a representative, for Board of Selectmen to have a representative that is not me, and a couple of members from the general public who are not maybe not volunteering already, just to try to get a group together that can work with some of the DEP folks and some of the regional, the COG, to really work how best to move forward for our town, but for our town as part of the region. This really is a statewide problem, and the state is mandating that we do this in a regional way. And while I'm certainly going to be president, going to be continuing to represent the town, I'd like to have a more representative group help us move forward. So if there's anyone here, I understand. And as I said earlier, I understand that the time is valuable for everyone, and you guys already put in an awful lot of work and awful lot of effort. But I think this group really is the group that helps move the town forward more than most. So a representative from here would be appreciated.
Okay. When do you need an answer by? I mean, I feel like, because.
No, gosh, no, I don't need an answer tonight, that's for sure. I need an answer in a month or so, you know.
I was gonna push Alex, because he's, I think he'd be great at that. I mean, he's not here, Brian's not here, so.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
All right.
I appreciate your anybody's considering getting involved in this.
I don't mean to take away from anybody, but I just feel like they're not here, and then just gives everybody a little bit of time to think about this. So, the only thing I had from the chairman's point of view is I did talk a little bit with the land trust, and we're talking about having a small meet and greet. Maybe sit down with those guys and go over, kind of what they're after and what they do, and how we can better help each other. So if John Wanovich is here, so I think Lori threw you under the bus and said you would elaborate a little bit. But that
I'm
was,
happy to do so if you'd like.
please.
Yeah, no, we just really wanted to meet with you guys and just kind of talk a little bit about our mission, what we're all about. And, we're just looking to foster positive relationships with the town. And yeah, just to get to know everybody a little bit better.
And again, this isn't an official meeting, so we could do this anywhere. If you guys are open to that, maybe we could pick on John and he could put together a quick survey of a couple dates and we could have a sit down. Maybe throw a couple of, I don't know, places on there, if anybody has any preferences. I mean, it could be as simple as a town hall. It could be, we could go to the brewery down the street, which I haven't been to yet, which I keep saying.
Tony, when you say a sit down, it sounds like it's the gangs of Deep River that are.
It sounds starting to get to that, yes.
Yeah, it sounded really good.
Yeah. Count me in. We'll meet on Main Street at midnight.
But
That's
anyway,
what I was hoping for. Main Street.
yeah, see?
Yeah, we're open. We're flexible. So, town hall is great. I mean, but wherever, whatever you guys would like to do.
Okay. That'd be great. We'll hopefully get that together and get back to you.
Yeah, if you want to send out a few dates, I mean, we can do the same, Tony, just via email or whatever, and then kind of take it from there.
Perfect.
Great.
All right. Budget. I think we're good there. I can't think of anything. Payment of bills. Nothing. Fantastic. All right. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mary. Looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Jonathan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Guys, thank you again. And I will see you next month. I appreciate it. And everybody have a good night.
Good night.